King Charles III is nearing the end of his first month as monarch, having ascended the throne on September 8 following the death of his mother, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The late Queen reigned for 70 years, having celebrated her Platinum Jubilee in June, meaning she was the only monarch many people in Britain have ever known. At 73 years old, Charles inherited the throne at a starkly different stage of life than his mother did in 1952. Elizabeth became queen at the age of 25 and, at that point, not much was known about the former princess who was never destined to be monarch. In contrast, Charles has been waiting in the wings, preparing for his time on the throne. For decades, he was heir apparent for longer than any other in royal history and, having been in the role for more than 64 years, became the longest-serving Prince of Wales. During this time, many have shared their skepticism about how successful Charles would be as monarch. As a prince, he was known to be outspoken and had a tendency to voice his opinion, publicly and in private correspondence, on matters of policy, something the late Queen is understood to have refrained from ever doing. Now, as his tenure gets underway, a royal author has discussed the challenges and obstacles the new king may face during his reign. Katie Nicholl, author of the recently published book The New Royals, sat down with Jessica Robinson and Rachel Birchfield for this week's episode of Podcast Royal. The Vanity Fair royal correspondent discussed her new biography, which hit shelves on October 4, and the future of the monarchy under the reign of King Charles III. Read more. Meghan and Harry have left big void in royal family as recent photographs analyzed. King Charles inherited the throne almost 1 month ago. Image, Getty Images. Charles was the longest-serving Prince of Wales in royal history. Image, Getty Images. New portrait of King Charles III on 50p unveiled by Royal Mint. King Charles III will become the first king to appear on British coins since the Queen ascended the throne in 1952. His portrait will appear initially on special £5 crown and 50p coins in honour of the late Queen's life, before expanding to commemorative coins and general circulation. Take a look here. She recounted interviewing constitutional historian Dr. Anna Whitelock, who identified the greatest threat to the new monarch's time on the throne. Ms. Nicholl said, "The king has got the issue of keeping the United Kingdom united, which is really enormous and very, very important to him. I spoke to a very good constitutional historian, Dr. Anna Whitelock. She was a wonderful interviewee, and she said to me that she believed the greatest threat to Charles' reign was apathy and that people just simply wouldn't care. I think we're still in a period of time where the nation is still coming to terms with the loss of its longest-reigning monarch. There is a great tide of goodwill to King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla. And really now it's down to Charles to make sure that he can continue that support and continue to connect with the people." Charles and Camilla became king and queen immediately after the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Image, Getty Images. Trending. While Queen Elizabeth garnered a lot of favorability during her life, from princess to monarch, King Charles has faced criticism. He did not enjoy great popularity with Britons after the private details about his marriage to Diana, Princess of Wales, became public knowledge. In fact, in the years before Queen Elizabeth's death, polling suggested that British citizens preferred the idea of Prince William becoming king instead of Charles. A YouGov poll laid in May found that the former Duke of Cambridge was the favourite to succeed the Queen. Meanwhile, another poll found that only 32% of Britons thought Charles would do a good job as king, comparatively low to the 77% who said William would do a good job as monarch. However, in the days after his accession, it appeared that members of the public were rallying behind the new king. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace to welcome the new monarch and his wife back to London after the couple had travelled from Balmoral in Scotland, where Queen Elizabeth had passed. Don't miss Meghan Markle admitted she has a food fixation on podcast. Insight: who is your favorite member of the royal family? Poll: Prince Harry obsessed with staying relevant over Prince George, revealed. Some expressed a desire for Prince William to succeed the late Queen. Image: Getty Images. Ms. Nicholl, who was at Buckingham Palace at the time, described the extraordinary experience, saying, "As Charles arrived in the car, there was no saying which way the public need was going to go." Applause seemed wrong at that moment because this was a nation in shock and in mourning, and yet when Charles stepped out of the car, there was applause. There were cheers for Charles. I heard several cheers of "God Save the King." It was the most extraordinary moment, and you could see the King's face almost light up at this reception that he was getting, because there was no guarantee that he was going to be given the warm welcome that he was. As he got out of his car, he shook hands with people and even got a kiss from one well-wisher. Then he did something that I've never seen any monarch do before: he walked through the gates of the palace with the Queen consort on foot. Crowds greeted the new king as he returned to Buckingham Palace for the first time as monarch. Image: Getty Images. And I felt that that was such a significant moment and so telling of what perhaps we can expect from the reign of King Charles III. Recent polls have backed up a change in heart, with a YouGov survey taken shortly after the Queen's death suggesting the public has faith in the new monarch. 63% of voters said they believed Charles will do a good job as monarch, and respondents who watched his first speech as king overwhelmingly approved of it. Ms. Nicholl described Charles' speech as a preface to his reign, and said, "You get the feeling that we're in very safe hands and that the monarchy is in very safe hands."